everybody, and welcome to Reed's Read Spider-Man Crawl Space Edition. Check us out, the SpidermanCrawlspace.com. That's right, I'm wearing my new amazing Spider-Man Crawl Space t-shirt in this review, so thanks again, Brad, for this. So I'm here, of course, to talk about Amazing Spider-Man number 30, aka 924, before the big wedding issue. That's right, by Zeb Wells and, of course, Ed McGuinness. So the Dr. Octopus storyline finally comes. Will Norman Osborn turn back into the Green Goblin? Will his sins come and rear their utter head? What is really the point of the harness? Well, believe it or not, we actually get a lot of those answers, and then we don't get some answers. So let's get on to the pros. First of all, this really does feel a nice little piece. We actually have the interaction between Norman Osborn and Otto Octavius is actually pretty good. The history between these characters has really not been touched upon despite what's happening, despite what has happened with flashbacks during Superior Spider-Man, Mark Miller's Spider-Man during Marvel Knights. There has been a real reaction about how these two just do not like each other, and I really like how that's all been combined here. We've seen the whole parts of Norman, everything with Otto, and Otto just trying to do his best, and of course suffering from his deal with Mephisto to become back Dr. Octopus instead of being the superior Spider-Man. I like the fact that you actually feel bad for Otto. He really did try to do it. His memories have been messed up. He just knows he has to hate Norman for everything he's done with him, which actually makes plenty of sense, but how Norman, despite his narcissism and everything, he just can't be doing that, and it actually falls really well in the entire story. I also like the little piece of actually finding out more about the harness, how this actually worked, and despite what happened during Superior before and after the deals with Mephisto and the old series, that the harness actually was not really altered. All the AI in that has actually been programmed. It still remembers the parts of Peter when he was in Otto Octavius's body. It remembers everything that happened to him in Superior and how much he hates Norman in general, as in it's like the dog that's meant to not like the neighbor because the neighbor is not a good person, even though the neighbor says, hey, you know what, I've been a mean guy and I don't want to do it. But the harness acts like that. It's actually a very interesting pull-up with the AI and why it kind of worked as the abusive, relationship earlier when it betrayed Norman to get Otto into the Oscorn Industries. I do kind of really like that twist, and also the fact is, let's face it, guys, 90s people, you finally got Octo-Spidey versus Dr. Octopus. We've been waiting this forever. Well, some people were. I just thought it was a cool idea. I never really needed to see it in a comic, but yet here we go. And I have to say, Ed McGuinness' art works really well, not only the emotional scenes, but the fight battle is. I also gotta love the dialogue when Peter is talking like Otto, and Otto's like, wait, I sound like that? Wait, you're talking like me. No, I don't sound that stupid. It's actually good comical when they fight, and I actually like how the different harnesses work between the old and the new, and it's kind of an interesting little battle here, which is actually pretty nice. But by the time the story's all over, we don't really get too much more besides the conclusion of some storylines, which leads us to the cons. The ending feels very ham-fisted. I'm not talking about the harness being basically the lost puppy that J. Jonah Jameson has now adopted, and Peter realizing that he was kind of doing all the little pieces and it's a bad influence. He doesn't want to go back down that road again. I like that, but the whole little talk about the seduction of good, which was what Kurt Busiek said back in the original Thunderbolts, and how Norman is saying how it's harder to be good, especially everything good, and the fact that I'm this person. And of course, it's all thanks to Kamala, because Kamala made me smile every day. Yeah, she did that to me, Norman, too. Kamala was this great person, and now she's gone. Here's to Kamala. It's very ham-fisted, especially if you read X-Men Hellfire Gala, and spoilers, folks. It shows exactly how Kamala is brought back to life, reasons why, and everything else, and actually what the point is going to be of her own comic coming up here later this fall. So the truth is, it is very ham-fisted, because the truth is, you had a writer and an editorial team that really point was to just refrigerate her to make this storyline. Now they're kind of trying to hand wave it and get it all explained to what Kamala was important to the book when she really wasn't important to Amazing Spider-Man. And it kind of ruins what actually is not a bad storyline. It actually leaves a couple interesting things going forward here for the upcoming Queen Goblin and, of course, Kraven the Hunter coming up after the wedding issue. So, believe it or not, with everything said, I'm actually going to give this a grade of a B. It's actually pretty well done. It feels like a Spider-Man story. Like I said, 90s people, whether you're reading the comic or watching the animated series, got Octo-Spidey find Dr. Octopus. And if everybody has read those issues or seen those episodes of the last seasons of Spider-Man from the old 90s series, it actually makes fun, and it was a lot of fun. You could definitely tell Ed McGuinness probably wanted this a little bit more than, of course, Zeb Wells did, even though he had introduced the storyline. So it kind of worked pretty well in that story. So I'll give it a B, but the ending feels very ham-fisted, and everything has to wrap up since next issue is not only the anniversary issue in triple size, but it's got to get everything set up for the rest of Spider-Man for Zeb Wells next year on the book. So it's a B. It wasn't too bad. So that's really all I can say. So on that note, guys, I'm about to take a nice little miniature vacation, so I'll be back in a couple weeks to review more books. So come on, check us out at the SpidermanCrawlspace.com for all your latest Spider-Man news, podcasts, and reviews. And a big shout out to my fellow reviewers now who also work on all the other books and satellite tires on this. And for more, guys, I'll see everybody on the Crawl Space.